wife, Deb, she's been amazing. She cried when she cried when we needed to cry, and I was diagnosed with third stage bladder cancer, January of 2019. My wife came home the first day, and I told her to get a paper and a pencil, and I'm going to tell you everything I want, because I thought I was going to die. Been married 42 years. When we got married, we moved to my wife's small town, and they needed volunteer firefighters. So I joined the fire department right away. I got in an EMT class that was full of people who really wanted to serve their small communities. I just was hooked. I got to do something for somebody that I cared for, and it just felt so good. And it was always like that. It was always like that. In October of 2017, it was in Louisville, Kentucky with some friends, and we were at a firefighter competition. And it was about 10 o'clock at night, and I was getting ready for bed, and I had to go to the bathroom. And I am the old guy, and I go to the bathroom. By the time I get back to the bed, I got to pee again. And this started at 10 o'clock at night. At 3 in the morning, I'm literally sitting on the toilet, and I'm no longer peeing. Urine is literally just running out of me. And I'm about to wake everybody up and say, hey, I need to go to the emergency room because there's something seriously wrong with me. So when I got home, I went to my primary. I said, this is what happened to me. And, and of course, the first thing they always say, it's probably your prostate because you're over 50. It's probably your prostate. And I go, it's not my prostate. I get my prostate checked every year at work. My PSA is great. And after a month, literally not getting up at night to go to the restroom, I thought, well, yeah, doc hit it. That's all it was. And that lasted from December of 2017 till about April or May of 2018. And then I noticed I was getting up about once a night. Then pretty soon it was twice a night, and we were traveling to more competitions, and I noticed that, I got to stop every 2 hours. 2 hours turned into an hour, and if I tried to hold it, it was causing me pain. I made an appointment with urology. I went in, met with the urologist's PA, and told her what was going on. They did a urine sample. There was no blood in my urine, nothing to indicate anything, So first thing she says is, it's probably your prostate. And I go, it's not. I just got it checked. My PSA is great, and I had my paperwork with me from work. This is something else. I said, it hurts if I hold it, and it turned into like a 30-second argument. And then she literally put her hands up and goes, okay, we will we'll scope your bladder and see what's going on. And as soon as he put the scope in my bladder, there was a mass about the size of a woman's fist in my bladder. You could see it, so he pulled it out. I looked at him and I said, what is it? And he goes, well, you don't pay me to guess. And I go, what is it? And he goes, 80% chance it's cancer. I started being a firefighter in 82, 83, sometime in there. Started to realize that firefighters are at high risk for cancers. And they're starting to advocate getting your gear cleaned. I mean, there was a time when firefighters' gear, the dirtier it was, the better it was. It was something to be proud of. Your gear is dirty, that's something to be proud of. And we had to change that, as a group, we had to change that idea, So like in my little town, we actually bought a washing machine, so it didn't matter if we just went to a grass fire in somebody's backyard, or we went to a grass fire that burned 10,000 acres, or we went to a house fire. Everybody's gear went in that washing machine after that fire. And then it became things like there was this, from the time you're exposed till you take a shower, should be an hour. An hour from exposure to a shower. That didn't matter if it was a fire, EMS, whatever. Let's get it clean. Let's get your gear, your clothes. Let's get them washed. So that became a big thing. I've really advocated to my crew, and since this happened, especially since this happened to me, we need to, even in small towns, that should be a requirement for firefighters, that they should be, and it isn't happening. It's not happening unless they go on their own and do that. One of the things I asked urologists was, how come if I had this bladder cancer, why didn't it show up on a screening? And he said, there's no screening for it. There's nothing. There's a screen for prostate cancer, but there's nothing for this. I had my biopsy 1st of January 2019. Obviously it was cancer. And at that time, he removed as much of the tumor as possible. I had started chemo the 2nd or 3rd week in January 2019, and that went through March of 2019. They had to stop the chemo because they were going to kill me. So when my chemo started, I was supposed to do 4 rounds, and then I had some friends come down, guys on my Firefighter Combat Challenge team. Chad and his wife Chanda came down, and they stayed with me. My wife went back to work because Chad had the day off, so he stayed with me. So my chemo started at 8 in the morning, and it was 8 hours. So 4:30 that afternoon, I go home, and my wife came home the first day, and I told her to get a paper and a pencil, and I'm going to tell you everything I want, because I thought I was going to die. I have never been that sick in my life. I never threw up. It wasn't that kind of sick. It was horrible. And that's the best it got. End of October in 18, I was running up a 5-story tower carrying 100 pounds. And the 3rd week in January of 2019, I couldn't get out of a chair by myself. And it was 3 months of that. So they stopped the chemo. May 9th of 2019, I had a surgery. They removed my bladder. They removed my prostate, my bladder, and they took 60 centimeters of my small intestine, and they cut it out, reconnected it, the 2 sections. They took the section that they took out. They built me, it's called a neobladder. So they built me a new bladder. They ran my ureters to that, and then they attached my urethra, so I could theoretically pee like I always have. So that took 10 weeks to heal after that. And then my issue was, because your small intestine doesn't have any muscles in it, doesn't have any way to control that. I had to, first of all, I had to learn to pee again. And part of the problem was I leaked constantly. because I had no control over that. So I had a friend who suggested a young lady who does women's pelvic floor issues. I went from wearing about 8 pull-ups a day to 0. So leak-free. So it was just, that was, and then, so I had my surgery in May. The 9th of September of 2019, I went back to work full-time, no restrictions. My urologist actually told me after my surgery, where they actually did the biopsy and scraped the bladder out, he goes, if you hadn't advocated for yourself, we would have sent you home for 6 months on Flomax, and by the time you got back here, it would have been too late. You saved your own life because you refused to take no for an answer. You're just one of those people that know your body and knew something was wrong and were willing to fight for yourself. I had great support. My wife, Deb, she's been amazing. She cried when she cried when we needed to cry, and she told me to buck up when it was time to, man up. You're tougher than this, so, they told me that was one of the things I asked, is my hair going to fall out? And doc in oncology said, I don't think so. Literally the first day my hair fell out. Like 2 days after my first treatment, I'm sitting downstairs trying to relax, watching TV, and something's falling down my face. And I literally pulled a handful of hair out. And I walked upstairs, and so I sent you the picture. My entire crew shaved their heads for me. Like, I love to camp, and now because of this, I'm not afraid. I have to sit to pee, so I have to when I camp, I have to find places that have outhouses or bathrooms close. So I had, adjustments like that. I ride my motorcycle, I throw my tent on my motorcycle, and I take off. It used to be we could stop anywhere. I didn't care. Now you have to find campgrounds, and that's, it doesn't sound like much, but, there were times that we would stay places, just in a driveway in a pasture. You could stay there. Well, now I can't do that anymore. I have to have a facility available for me, and and that costs money. That everything costs money. I wear a compression stockings all the time. They last about 2 months, so every 2 months I have to buy new stockings, and they're not expensive. They're $30 every 2 months, but that's an expense that normally people don't have. I wear pull-ups when I go to bed at night because I leak a little bit. That's $50. That goes out the window every month and a half, and so there's a lot of expenses. We went to the Mayo Clinic 3 times. Nobody pays you for that. That comes out of your pocket. That comes out of the bottom line. So things like that, it does add up. So after the chemo, after my surgery, my goal was to go back to work. I want to prove that I'm tough enough to go back to work. And then that wasn't enough. I went back to work. I was doing my job. It was a challenge. I'm not shitting you. It was a challenge. And then I wanted to compete again. So, it was back in the gym 5-6 days a week, training as hard as I could train, and because that was important to me, and I accomplished that, and I got back, and after my event, whatever, I finished twice. I finished as a world champion in my sport, and that was, to me, that was huge. You asked me why keep going. I got to pay back all these people somehow.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday, Lonnie.
That's one thing about being in that combat challenge is that's one family, it's one big family, and it's worldwide. I got friends from all over the world because of it. So, and I've competed overseas, so I know some of them that way, and a lot of them have come to the States, and so yeah, they still check on me. So it's always nice. How you doing? That's the best thing ever.